Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to have a look at another collaboration beer. So this one is half Swedish on the home side, half American on the away side, although the American brewery is quite a well-known gypsy brewery. So they do a lot of stuff over here as well, actually. But they've done a number of collaborations in the past, these two. They've always turned out pretty nice, and this one seems to be a new version of one of my favourite beers from the home brewery. So I'm really curious to see what this one has in store for us. So fingers crossed it's another good beer. Hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for the Swedish and home side of things then, we are going to head up towards Gothenburg once again. Göteborg, as you would say in Swedish, the Swedish craft beer capital up there on the west coast. Got to get that Gothenburg catchphrase in when we're reviewing the Gothenburg beers. We're going to go out to the east of the city a little bit to Landvetter, and we're having a look at yet another beer from the wonderful Bryggeri. So this particular beer is called Mango 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 Mango. Yeah, I think that was right. Yeah, but it comes in at 9% ABV. It's an Imperial Sour Fruit Ale, this one as they're calling it, and this is brewed in collaboration with Stillwater Artisanal, who are a gypsy brewery, but found their roots in Baltimore. In Maryland over in the US. So yeah, really looking forward to trying this. One of my favourite beers that I ever had from Bryggeri actually was the Mango, I think. Yeah, I'm going to get that wrong throughout the whole video, so we'll just go with it. But yeah, the Mango was one of my favourite Dugas beers that I ever had, and it was one of the ones that really kind of helped me get into the more modern sour beers, I would say, actually. So yeah, when I saw that this one was being released through Systembolaget, you know, I was like, I have to get a go at this beer. But yeah, like I say, 9% Imperial Sour Fruit Ale, this one, and it was released as part of the Lokal och Småskalig assortment through Systembolaget here in Sweden for July of 2021. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. So, as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the breweries involved here before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the video description below. That's the brewery websites, the link to my other reviews that I've done, both from Bryggeri and from Stillwater Artisanal. There's a lot more in the Bryggeri list, of course, because I review their beers very regularly, and I would like to add more to the Stillwater Artisanal list as well, but I can't guarantee when that's going to happen. Regardless though, you'll find all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you happen to be interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you, and another one for all the American beers that I've reviewed. This beer will appear in both of those because it is dual nationality. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Bryggeri then, on to my brewery notes. We always kick off with the home brewery, of course. So Bryggeri, as I've mentioned to you already, are based in Landvetter, which is on the outskirts of Gothenburg, Göteborg, up on the west coast of Sweden, but considered by many the Swedish craft beer capital. But the brewery was established back in 2005 in Mölndal, to the south of the city, by Mikael Engström Duge, whom of course it takes its name from. But a few years prior to this, Mikael had met an Englishman who was selling various second-hand breweries, and it just really got him thinking about brewing his own beer. So he studied the very complex Swedish alcohol laws, visited various other breweries around the country, and started buying up his own equipment to put together his own brewery. And this culminated with the opening of their first facility in Mölndal back in 2005. Over the following years, they continued to grow their output and their sales and things like this, but by 2009, the brewery had outgrown this original premises, and so the following year, they moved up to Landvetter. But the older brewery had a capacity of 1,500 hectolitres per year at peak, but the new brewery started off with a capacity of 8,000 hectolitres per year, and this has been more than doubled in recent years from what I understand. But over the years, the brewery have become well known for a good number of different styles. In the early days, it was all about the kind of fruit sours and the imperial stouts and things like that. In more recent years, they've done a lot of IPAs. They've got quite a few different series of beers, of course. And when it comes to IPAs, you know, they've got the Fresh and the Crush series, which are the New Englanders. They've got the Bite series, which are the West Coast series. They also have the Future series, which is their barrel aging program. That's, I think, one of the biggest barrel aging programs in Sweden, if I remember correctly. But yeah, they've done a hell of a lot of different beers over the years. The number that they have listed on Untappd from this brewery is far too low, I think, and that's why I never used that in the videos, because these guys have done a hell of a lot of beers over their 16 years of existence. But they're also one of the co-owners of the two Brewers beer bars in Gothenburg, along with, I believe, Electric Nurse Brewing, who are run by Mikael's daughter Ida and her husband John, and also All In Brewing, who are one of the numerous gypsy breweries operating around Gothenburg. But yeah, these guys, one of the very well respected Swedish craft breweries, and if you get the chance to try some of their beers, I highly recommend that you do. Whatever these guys seem to touch, it does seem to turn to gold. Actually, they've got some really good New Englanders. The West Coasts are starting to get. They're starting to kind of nail the West Coasters the last time I saw, and they've always had some very, very big, nice Imperial stouts. So if you do get the chance, the two cult classic beers I would recommend from this brewery would be the Egypt, which is now the Big Egypt, their big Imperial stout, and also the Tropic Thunder, which was one of the kind of cult classic sour beers here in Sweden, and that was also brewed in collaboration with Stillwater Artisanal, of course. But yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Dugges Brewery for the moment. If you want to learn more, you can check out the brewery website, follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can of course check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a little bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's go on to the second brewery then. We'll go on to the away brewery this time. It's Stillwater Artisanal. So it's been a while, I think about a year since we last had a beer involving these guys. A bit too long, but we don't see their beers as often as we used to. But anyway, Stillwater Artisanal is the venture of nomadic gypsy brewer Brian Stillwater Strumke. So he's a native of Baltimore in Maryland, and he's a former world-renowned techno DJ and producer, and he quickly made himself well known across the world and in homebrewing circles because of his unusual brewing methods and the various different adjuncts and things he was using. He was using herbs, spices, wild yeasts, and you name it, he was experimenting with it. But he started home brewing in his backyard years ago, and he'd actually been rated as one of the best newcomer brewers very early on by Rate Beer, and he's remained high up within the top 100 brewers in the world. But he now travels the world doing lots of different collaboration brews with various brewers from well-known breweries, and yeah, he's just been doing that for years and releasing different things. But in 2018, they announced plans that they were going to open up their own brewery in Greenpoint in Brooklyn, where they plan to invest heavily to create a sour beer fermentation brewery and a barrel aging project, as well as opening up a bar. But the crowdfunding investment is still underway, and this place is going to be called Production. But Brian says that this is not going to distract from his gypsy brewing activities, but it's rather intended to be a sort of tap room and pilot batch brewery for him. So yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that goes forward. And if I get the chance, I will go and visit that in Brooklyn when I make it out to the States next year, finally, because I was supposed to be there this year. But as of July 2021, when I'm filming this review for you, Stillwater have produced 145 different kinds of beer, according to Untappd. But yeah, again, that's all I can really tell you about Stillwater Artisanal for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on. And you can, of course, check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a little bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, that is it for your history section of the video. It's now time to get on and have a taste of the beer. So, as you can see, the artwork on this one is quite similar to what we've had from Dugges Brewery before. I think it's actually quite similar to what we had from Mango the last time. But yeah, they've kind of gone for basically a simple name. I think it's double the strength, and it's double the strength, so double the mangoes. Because yeah, the original one was 4.5% ABV. I can't remember when I would have had that beer now, actually. I think that must have been quite a while ago. But yeah, on the side there you can see Dugges Brewery, and you can see that on the top, and you'll also see Stillwater mentioned in there as well. Stillwater symbol is pretty kind of straightforward. I think the water's reflecting off the camera there, but yeah, plain bottle cap on this one, as you always get from Dugges Brewery. And yeah, I can't remember how much I actually paid for this beer. This one might have been about 45 or 50 Swedish kroner, potentially a little bit more, but I wasn't missing out on this one since when I saw it being released, because I saw it on Glassbank, and I think maybe about a month or two ago, and I was like, I really wanted that, but then I saw Systembolaget were getting it, so yeah, just waited, because a sour beer will stay pretty good. But yeah, 9% Imperial Mango Sour, I guess we could say this one. I think this beer will be another one that's quite straight shooting in terms of its flavour profile, and I often find that with these modern kind of fruity sour beers. They tend to be quite straight shooting, but if they're well done, they can just be beautiful, beautiful beers. But 330 millilitres, this one, like I say, I think I paid about 45 Swedish kronor for this, so that translates roughly to €4.50, £4 sterling, probably about $5.25, $5.50 American, just so that those of you watching in different parts of the world have a little bit of a price reference there. But let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting. Oh, it's weird, it didn't want to open. Let's just try again. Ah no, there we go, got it. I thought maybe the bottle had cracked or something like that. But no, it's all right. So let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting then. I think this is going to be awesome. I honestly can't remember when I had mango, but as I say, that's one of my favourite beers that I've had from Dugas Bryggeri. And the reason I don't really recommend that one in the videos, it's always Big Egypt or Tropic Thunder, is I don't think it's too easy to get mango actually. But yeah, at least through Systembolaget. Anyway, let me just check that this is lined up so that my OCD is happy. And yeah, there we go. We can have it there. So, yes, anyway. So before the head disappears on this one, you can see that it poured with about a quarter finger of a frothy, I would say creamy coloured head. That's fading away to just be a very, very thin foamy layer, but there's a nice kind of thicker ring around the edge of the glass there. But yeah, it looks nice. It's just faded away to be a very kind of thin, wispy layer on the top of the beer. But you know, in terms of its appearance, this beer could well be like a New England IPA or something. It looks really nice. So, in terms of the colour of this one, it's actually a little bit like a kind of peach juice or something like that. It's quite a bit, I see the camera always makes these beers seem a little bit brighter, actually, but this one's got a really nice kind of darker quality to it, I would say. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting how it goes about its business in that sense. But yeah, how would you say? But yeah, it's I think it worked. It turns out really nicely. But I'd say this is kind of similar to a sort of peach juice or something. I always like comparing the colour of my beers to different fruit juices, at least these kind of hazy type ones that we get, because that's really just what they remind me of. But yeah, this one's really got a colour like a kind of slightly amber peach type colour, this one. I think that's a fair way to describe it. But yeah, one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head there. But overall, it looks very nice. So remember, the colour of your beer depends on 1, the type of malts that you use. That usually determines the magnitude of the colour. 2, the length of your wort boil. The longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any adjuncts will play a role in deciding the colour as well. In sour beers, not so much. That's not so much a factor in IPAs, although it would be if you got so many fruit IPAs these days, which you don't, as far as I'm aware. But also any barrel aging will play a role in determining the colour of the beers as well. But yeah, this one is obviously the alcohol strength is going to affect that as well. So I wonder, you know, if this one's got a little bit of a kind of, with the colour of this beer, I do wonder if there's maybe a little bit of a kind of caramelly or biscuity malt in this one, because I would think that you know, the mangoes would make it a bit brighter. I do remember the original mango being significantly more yellow than this one. This, as I say, is a more kind of ambery, peachy type colour, this. But yeah, it's got a good level of haze to it, a little bit of a natural haze. Let me just check on this one and see. This one, no, it is just all barley malt. I wondered if this one might have a little bit of wheat and oats in it. But it says on the side here, forgot to read that before we opened it, I got too excited. But yeah, it says mango. If you're going to put fruit into a beer, there's no better fruit than mango. At least that's what we think. And through this sour beer, and though this sour beer might not sound like an echo, it's not. This collaboration with Stillwater explores the true depth of mango flavour. 6 layers of taste and aroma from fruit and hops. Go mango. So yeah, I'm guessing if they're saying they've got different hops in this, they will have quite mango forward hops. So you're probably talking things like, you know, maybe Victoria's Secret, Galaxy from Australia, potentially like a little bit of El Dorado, Idaho 7, Citra, and there's a few, maybe Simcoe's going to give you more passion fruit. You know, you're probably talking these kind of hops in this one. There's a few others from New Zealand as well, like, you know, Rakau and Riwaka and things like that will give you a bit of a mango-y character as well. But yeah, I think this should be really interesting, as we say. But we've covered the appearance of this beer now, and we did the blurb because I forgot, and I think we should have a look at the aroma and see how we get on with this one. So yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Now, as I've said, with these sour beers, I often find them quite straight shooting in terms of their aromas and flavour profiles. I'm pretty certain this beer is going to be like that. but that doesn't stop them being awesome. You know, for me, these kind of big, juicy, fruity, modern sour beers kind of show you that simplicity can sometimes be the best route. But yeah, this beer smells absolutely lovely. Yeah, it's beautiful, that. So it really is very straight shooting, this one. So it actually smells as if you've got a backbone, like a sort of yogurty, petit filou type backbone to it. Of course, mango though, rather than berries. So the beer really does smell as if it's got a little bit of that yogurty backbone to it. There's some lovely soft white bready character in there. There's a wee bit of a kind of bread crust for me. But yeah, the malty backbone of this one really smells sort of yogurty, like, you know. Yeah, it does smell. I mean, this beer doesn't have lactose in it. It doesn't have wheat or oats or anything like that you get from these modern Berliner Weisses and Goses and things like this. This one is, you know, a pure kind of fruit sour, if you like, if we can say that. But it comes together very, very nicely. I really like how this beer goes about its business. So yeah, very straight shooting in its malts. Like I say, a bit of white bread, a wee touch of bread crust, some lovely kind of almost yogurty petit filou type things in there, and there's potentially just a little bit of brown sugar in this one, you know, a little bit of a kind of Werther's Original butter candy sort of thing. You can definitely get a little bit of that on the top. There is a wee bit of this kind of butterscotchy, butter candy, brown sugary note in there as well. And when the beer is 9%, that kind of makes sense, to be honest. Quite often alcohol flavours come out as this sort of brown sugary kind of thing. But yeah, you certainly get that. You certainly get quite a lot of that out of this beer, that's for sure. So yeah, aroma, this one on the malty side of things is lovely. Now on the hoppy side of the beer, it actually comes across as quite straight shooting, and it doesn't come across as being too green or bitter in the aroma either. So I'm guessing that the majority of hops in this will be very late addition hops, or they will be dry hops. So remember, when you add hops early on during the wort boil, that's going to give you the bitterness. But then when you add them within the sort of last half hour or so, that's when you get the more flavour and aroma type profiles from them. But this beer does have a little bit of a green component to it, and I think always, you know, quite a few breweries in the Scandinavian countries don't add hops into these sour beers, but I think adding, you know, just a little bit of hop gives the beer a wee bit more depth of flavour, if you like. But yeah, you can certainly smell there is a teeny little hint of earthiness in there. You've got a nice bright floral aromaticity there, and you do get a little bit of a kind of brighter grassy quality to this one as well. So yeah, you do have a little bit of that coming out of this one, which I think is really nice. But then on top of that, it's all about the mango. You know, you get this big juicy mango sort of thing, and the mango is the thing that's kind of propagating that, you know, sort of yogurty aroma that this beer has, which is really interesting. It's lovely. I mean, there are a few other undertones of fruit in there. You're getting a wee kind of bit of apricot. You're getting maybe, you know, a little bit of, you know, papaya or something like this. There are a few little complexities to this, but for the most part, it's just a big mango punch in the face, to be honest with you, or punch in the pus, as we'd say in Scotland. Yeah, it's a big mango hit, this one. But it smells lovely. It's, as I say, not the most complex aroma that you're going to come across from a Dugas beer, or even a beer in general. But it smells absolutely lovely, this one. So yeah, I think it is about time that we have a taste of this one. And take a bit of time though, as I always say, to ponder over the aroma, but I really just want to taste this one now. So yeah, this one is the mango. Yeah, the 6 mangoes, yeah, from Dugas Bryggeri in Landvetter near Gothenburg, in collaboration with Stillwater Artisanal, a gypsy brewery based in Baltimore in Maryland, or Brooklyn in New York, I guess you could say now. But yeah, let's crack into this one. A 9% Imperial sour with a shitload of mango in it by all accounts. Let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skål, cheers. Ooh, that really is nice. Yeah, it's not often you'll come across an Imperial sour that's quite like this. And you know, in fairness, I wish Dugas would do some more of these and experiment with different fruits. They have got their single fruit series now. Yeah, absolutely. But I feel a bit. I was kind of laughing to myself when I brought this one out of the fridge, because like, oh, I wonder if this is another new series that Dugas are going to do, because they've got so many series now, and I feel like an idiot, but I feel I should say with this one, it would be really cool if they did an Imperial fruit sour series and started doing things with, if they could do like a cloudberry one, or something like this. I think that would be a really, really interesting avenue for Dugas to go down, and they're very capable within these sour beer, within the sour beer category. So it wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility for them. But yeah, a little bit of irony going on in my head there with this, because I did wonder if this was going to be another series, another new series from them, because they've got a series of wheat beers and things like this now, and they've also got the mega series of 15% imperial stouts and stuff like this. So I was laughing about that, but I feel like an idiot now, because I think it would be cool to see them do take the sort of base recipe for this beer and do it with different fruits. So yeah, that could be interesting. A little bit like Mikkeller did with the Spontans. Yeah, so Dugas, I know that Mikkel Dugas has watched a couple of my videos, so Mikkel, if you see this one, please consider that. Certainly consider that. But the girl they've got brewing for them now, I forget her name, but she seems to know what she's doing. Yeah, some of the beers that they've had since she's joined them a little while back have been really awesome. So yeah, Dugas are definitely a brewery to keep an eye on at the moment. And I would say, as I said, Mango was one of my favourites. This, I think, is up there as well. I've had really nice IPAs and things like that from them, both West Coasters, New England's recently, and we've had some interesting stouts. But I think I've had so many stouts and things like that, and so many IPAs from other breweries as well, is that maybe they don't sort of stand out in the same way that they used to, in a sense. But this one, with it being a different style and stuff, this one is one of these beers that is really, really striking. So I'm just going to say a massive thumbs up to Dugas and Stillwater on this one. This is a beer that you guys really need to try if you can get a hold of it. This is very, very nicely done. But yeah, let's try and break down the flavour profile of this one for you. So the other thing you'll notice about this is it's quite slick in a sense too, but when it's 9% you kind of expect that. But yeah, straight away with this beer you can feel a nice sort of smooth kind of, you can feel a little bit of a kind of smooth white bready note that goes right across the middle of your palate. That's the pale malt, but it's a very soft kind of fresh white bready character, as I say. If you go to either end of that, middle third of your palate, there is a wee bit of a kind of bread crusty element to it as well, which I enjoy. But then sitting on top of that, you can feel that the breadiness sort of thickens out a wee bit in this one, but then sitting on top of that bready character is where you get those big kind of yogurty elements, and they're there in the beginning when you take the beer in, but they sort of fade a little bit the further that you go into the aftertaste, which is quite interesting. So yeah, I'm not sure if I was tasting this beer blind, I probably would have thought there was like a little bit of an oat and wheat in this one, because some of the bready characters are lovely and smooth, and it's usually wheat that will do that for you, and then a little bit of oat. But it's just interesting how the beer can maintain that sort of slightly yogurty flavour. So that must be coming from the mango axe. I'll need to bear this in mind when I go forward and try other sours, but yeah, it certainly is nice. You can see the glass is sweating just because that summer heat here in Sweden. It's craziness. 20 odd degrees outside still. But yeah, this is lovely stuff, as I say. Yeah. So on the, as I say, on top of that kind of bready layer that it has, you just get that, it's like a big oval, and you get that sort of yogurty, petit filou type thing there, and that sits in the middle of the palate. But on top of that, in the dead centre of your palate, you can feel a little circle there, and that's your Werther's Original kind of note there. That's a little bit of brown sugar, a Werther's Original brown sugary element to it. There's a wee bit of a concentrated caramel right in the dead centre of the palate, but then as you move further out from that, it's got a little bit more of a kind of biscuity, it's got a bit more of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing to it, which I really enjoy. So yeah, I like how this one goes together. So yeah, it's lovely stuff, this one. I really like how it goes together from the malty side of things. But that's the middle third of your palate. If you go into the back third of your palate, again, you feel a little bit of a bready build up on that border region, maybe a wee bit more bread crust. In the base of the palate, there's a sort of soft, kind of smooth, white bready kind of thing in there. There's a little bit of a kind of wheaty element there. Then on top of that, there's a little bit more of a kind of yeasty, an airy yeasty kind of thing coming out of this one. So I really like how that goes together in this beer, absolutely. So yeah, you can feel a little bit of that more airy, yeasty, bready sort of thing at the back. So when you start at the back of your palate, you can feel the flavour's a bit taller, it condenses down a wee bit, and as you go into the middle third of your palate, it is a little bit more squashed together. But it's not the most condensed flavour because of that yogurty type vibe that the beer has, but I like it. Hoppy side of things then, I think we've covered the malty, yeasty aspect of this beer as much as we need to. But on the back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, the beer gets slightly more kind of herbal in a sense, and as you push towards the kind of front corners of the palate, there's a little bit more kind of floral aromaticity to this beer, which I certainly like. But yeah, around the front curve of the palate, you can feel a little bit of a lighter kind of grassiness in there. But yeah, the floral notes are a little bit more kind of pungent in a sense in the flavour than they were in the aroma, definitely. But then on the front third of your palate, this is where you're getting all the fruity elements there. So the border region between front third and middle third of your palate, you feel a bit of a bready build up in there, a wee bit of a kind of bread crusty note there. Then the base of that front third of your palate is a smooth kind of white bready character, and on top of that you get all that juicy mango there, and the mango has a bit of that yogurty character again towards the back of the palate. But yeah, lovely big juicy mango-y notes to it. And then you can feel the mango. Whenever you add fruit into a beer as an adjunct, it always suppresses a little bit of the green component of the beer, particularly around the kind of front edge of the palate. And you can feel that in this one. You can feel that lovely big juicy mango just going around the edges of the palate there. It's got a wee bit of a kind of sharpness to it, which I certainly enjoy. But yeah, it really goes together quite nicely in that sense. But yeah, the fruity side of this beer, I think, goes together. The fruity side of this beer, I think, is very nice in this one. You will get a few complexities of, like, a wee bit of a kind of apricot-y sort of thing, maybe a wee tiny bit of pineapple or something like that. So yeah, you've got that in there, but you can actually feel a little bit of a kind of oiliness from the hops in there. So I do get a wee touch of passion fruit, of course, and then a few other things. So I do wonder, could Galaxy have been one in this, and maybe a bit of Citra, of course, as well, because you can feel a little bit of a kind of zesty, oily, hoppy note just behind the front curve of the palate there, but the mango sits on top of that and sort of overpowers everything else. So it's only little subtleties you can get, I think, from the hoppy side of thing there. So potentially a little bit of Galaxy and Citra or something like that in this. Yeah, I think this is really quite interesting for sure. I'm not sure how many hops they would have put in this, as we say, but I'd love to know what hops they've put in this. But whatever it is, it's worked out very, very nicely. So yeah, big thumbs up to both Stillwater and Dugas for this one. This is a lovely, lovely beer, and I think it'd be a terrible shame if this was only released once. I think this is one they do need to consider re-releasing again at some point, or making it into a series, if you like, and doing this sort of thing with different fruits, because it's absolutely solid. I mean, this is a lovely, lovely sour beer, one of my favourite ones I've had over the last little while. But yeah, it really is very nice. So let's round off the review then with the mouthfeel then. So yeah, this beer for me, it's mid-body. I mean, it doesn't feel overly thick. I never find that sour beers tend to be overly thick unless they're these big, Goses, Berliner Weisse type things. This one isn't overly thick. It's right in the middle of the spectrum for me. Carbonation is very smooth. It's got that typical kind of Nordic cleanliness to it, the clean water that I always talk about here. In terms of IBUs, I think this one's quite low. I think, you're talking about 10, 15 IBUs at most in this one. So yeah, low IBUs. The malt base in this is very, very smooth. It's got a lovely bit of an almost kind of creamy, yogurty type note to it, like I said, and a wee bit of sweetness too. Then the sour side of the beer It does have a wee bit of sharpness when you take it in, but it's one of these beers that really mellows out very, very nicely. So you do get a little bit of that citricy tartness when you take the beer in, but then it smooths out and becomes lovely and juicy and tropical in a sense. So yeah, I really like how this beer goes about its business for sure. So yeah, I've always said that a good sour beer is one that kind of comes in with a bit of sharpness and mellows out really nicely, and I think this beer pulls it off quite well. So yeah, the fruity side of this one I think is very nice, and it's got a good balance between the fruity juiciness and the kind of sour sharpness to it. So yeah, I think that rounds off this review quite nicely. So let's leave it there. So this one is the Mango, if I've got the name right number of mangoes, from Dugges Brewery in Landvetter near Gothenburg, here in Sweden, in collaboration with Stillwater Artisanal, a regular collaboration partner for Dukes, of course, from Baltimore in Maryland, and also Brooklyn in New York, I guess we can say as well. But lovely beer, this one, a 9% Imperial Mango Sour, and I think it has been awesome. One of my favourite Dugges beers, I think, so far. I would go that far with this one. So I hope we see it again, and I do hope they consider making another series of beers, Imperial Sour beers actually. I think that would be really interesting. So yeah, let's leave it there. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Stillwater Artisanal, and we will return to these guys at some point in the fairly near future, I'm sure, and of course to Stillwater Artisanal as well. So yeah, let's leave it there. Catch you guys again in the next review. Let me know your own thoughts. Check out my social media. Check out Dugges and Stillwater's Artisanal's social media. And I'll see you guys in the next review. Slàinte, skull, and cheers.